up, baby? This is the boxing bully, Barack, from Sweet Scientist. And you know I gotta shout out Jay Calderon, Boxing Talk. You better tune in.
What's up, y'all? It's your boy, Jay Calderon, Stan Clean Entertainment, and we're about to get into this week's Boxing Talk. We're going to do a recap over the fight that just took place this past weekend when Gennadiy Golovkin, a.k.a. Triple G, fought at Madison Square Garden, New York City for the 7th time in his career. And it was a very tough fight against Sergiy Derevyancheko, a Ukraine fighter out of Brooklyn, who put up a very good, entertaining fight. I mean, boxing fans got back-to-back weekends with great entertaining fights. First with Errol Spence versus Sean Porter, and now with Triple G versus Sergiy Derevyancheko. This was a great fight. I mean, it happened on DAZN, and it was a very big showcase for Triple G to try to get the Canelo Alvarez third fight. And this was a fight where it looked like Triple G basically is finished as a top elite fighter. And I gotta tell you, I'm a big Triple G fan. Of course, obviously, you see the hat. You know that I'm a Triple G supporter since day one. I've been following this guy since 2010. That's 9 years ago, before he even came to the United States to make an impact here in the U.S. And Triple G is one of the best middleweights to ever lace up the gloves. He goes up there with Carlos Monsoon. He goes up there with Marvin Hagler and also Bernard Hopkins. People might disagree because a lot of people feel that this man has fought nothing but tomato cans, guys that were easy fights, and that he never faced the real competition in his career. But at the prime of his career, ages 30, 31, 32, 33, this guy was avoided just like Jermall Charlo is avoided today, just like Demetrius Andrade is avoided today as well. Because none of the top guys during that time of Triple G's prime did not want to face him. Guys like Felix Sturm, who was the champion over in Germany when Triple G was tearing through Germany, and Sturm did not want to face him as a mandatory for his WBA title. You had guys like Sergio Martinez, who was the king at the time of the middleweight division with the WBC, that didn't want to face Triple G. You had Miguel Cotto, a 4-division world champion, a popular figure here in the United States and with Puerto Rico, that did not want to face Triple G, and also Canelo Alvarez earlier on was avoiding Triple G. As we all know, he gave up the title not to face Triple G. So, you know, these guys were not willing to get into the ring with Triple G at the moment. It wasn't until later on in his career, ages 34 to now 37, where we see him as a fighter getting winded down. There's no excuses that I'm trying to make for this man, because we know at the height of his career, when Andre Ward was the top super middleweight at 168 pounds, Triple G tried to get Ward to come down to a catch weight of 164 to face Andre Ward. But he was willing to go up to 168 to face guys like Carl Froch and also Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. for much bigger fights, because those guys produce a lot more money at the time than a guy like Andre Ward. We know that Andre Ward is an all-around better fighter, and I'm not gonna bullshit you. I know that Andre Ward would have beaten Gennadiy Golovkin back then. You know, so he tried to get an advantage over Andre Ward by bringing him down to 164 pounds, and Andre Ward was not going for that, and the fight never materialized, and it never happened. So, you know, there's a lot of criticism since that point that Triple G has gotten because he did not face Andre Ward at 168 pounds, and a lot of people feel that he ducked Andre Ward, and there's been a lot of criticism now because he hasn't faced the two top middleweight champions that are in the division, undefeated young lions like Demetrius Andrade and also Jermall Charlo. These guys are top fighters that have been calling him out, and they've been turned down time and time again by Triple G and also by Canelo Alvarez. So, you know, these guys are the two top names in the middleweight division. They're the big money guys. You know, Triple G just signed the deal with DAZN for $100 million, and he got paid $15 million to face a guy like Steve Rose, you know, instead of facing Demetrius Andrade, which he turned down. You know, so he's making big money facing guys that are basically no one has heard of, and he just made another $15 million to face Sergiy Derevyancheko in this fight right here. And, you know, guys like Sergiy Derevyancheko has never made $5 million payday. and he got over $5 million for this fight. So, you know, Demetrius Andrade and Jamal Charlo feel that they deserve those big money paydays, and they want those big fight opportunities to beat a guy like Triple G. You know, they've been calling this guy out since HBO had Triple G and Canelo Alvarez, and they've been avoided all this time. Now they're at the top, and they're looking to take over the division of 160 pounds. But those fights have not materialized as of yet. And right now, I got to tell you, the way Triple G looked in this fight, you know, a lot of people feel that he lost this fight. It was a close fight. You know, the knockdown in this fight was basically something reminiscent to what happened in the Daniel Jacobs fight. Daniel Jacobs gave Triple G a very tough fight, a very close fight, and people feel that Jacobs beat Triple G in that fight. And to me, I have to tell you, I'm a Daniel Jacobs fan as well. Brooklyn all the way. Daniel Jacobs came very close to beating Triple G in that fight. My opinion in that fight was that the knockdown was what hurt Daniel Jacobs in that fight and made it a very close win for Triple G to escape with a victory. And that's exactly what happened in this fight right here. I think Sergiy Derevyancheko did better than Daniel Jacobs and even better than Canelo Alvarez in 2 fights in this fight, because he physically hurt Triple G in this fight. Those body shots that he was delivering were hellacious. I mean, he really hurt Triple G to the body. You could see him, you know, bending over and looking physically in big trouble in this fight, like he was going to get stopped. And Derevyancheko, you know, he got cut with a punch. You know, they ruled it, I believe it was a headbutt, a clash of heads, but it was really a punch when the replay was showed that opened up the cut. And the cut did bother Derevyancheko because he said it was getting into his eyes and it was giving him problems. But he kept on like a true warrior. He continued to move forward. He continued to press. He continued to land and outwork Triple G throughout this fight. Triple G landed more of the jabs because he does have one of the best jabs in boxing, and he also was landing some hard shots. Now, the power shots were in favor of Derevyancheko, but if you could really see who was landing the hard inflicting shots, it was Triple G shots that looked more thudding when he landed his big bombs. These guys were going back and forth. Triple G won the earlier rounds, but after the 4th round, you saw Derevyancheko turning the tide. You saw him bringing it to Triple G and winning a majority of those middle rounds, and it was the late rounds where these guys had to dig deep. The blood was pouring. These guys were going back and forth. Triple G was hurt several times, but Triple G, to me, won this fight by a very narrow margin. I'm talking about razor thin, and it was because of the knockdown early that I believe when you add up the points of how many rounds were won, you know, even if Sergiy Derevyancheko won 6 rounds of this fight, 6 solid rounds, he still would come up short with the knockdown with 1 point. And the scorecard of one of the judges was the most accurate of all of them, because that 114-113 scorecard was basically 6 rounds for Derevyancheko and 6 rounds for Triple G, with the 1 point margin for the knockdown that gave him victory. The other 2 judges scored it 7 rounds to 5. 5 rounds for Derevyancheko, and you know, I kind of scored it that way as well, but I could agree with Derevyancheko winning at least 6 rounds of this fight and making it that close where people could say that it was a draw. But when you add up the points because of the knockdown, it gives Triple G an escape of 1 point margin to become victorious in this fight. And it just shows that at 37 years old, Triple G is at the end of his career. I don't want to hear no excuses that he was sick with the flu. This is what his promoter and his team is trying to bring up now. You know, if you're sick and you have any injuries, I don't think you should be fighting. I understand there's a lot of money on the table and people are going to go through with fights like the way Manny Pacquiao made his excuse against Floyd Mayweather, that he had a shoulder injury and there was so much money on the table that they had to go through with the fight. I don't believe in that, you know, so I'm not going to give you that excuse, because if you're injured or you're sick, you shouldn't be in the ring. You have to be at least close to 100% possible, and you have to perform to the best of your abilities to come out on top. That's not always the case, and it's not a fair assessment, but that's my belief. And I believe that, you know, if Triple G was sick and he wasn't going to perform the way he should have performed, then he should have not had taken this fight. It should have been pushed back a little bit. But he went through with it, and he did not look good at all. And this could have been a draw at best, but calling it a robbery is just total nonsense, because a lot of haters do not like Triple G. They want to see him lose. And I got to be honest, if he faces Canelo Alvarez right now, Canelo Alvarez is going to beat him. When I watched those two fights, and I was in Las Vegas for both of those fights, the first fight I got to agree with. I believe it was a draw. I believe that neither man took control of the fight enough to become victorious in that fight. Both men put on a great fight of the year type candidate fight, and it ended up in a draw. I disagree with the scorecard of Adelaide Bird because that was just horrible scorecard that she put out. Total robbery right there. But the draw, I had no problem with it. The second fight, I believe that Canelo Alvarez made the proper adjustments in that fight to deserve the victory in that fight. It was a close fight, and certain people believe that Triple G won that fight as well, but I believe that Canelo Alvarez did win that fight, and I have no problem with that fight. Would I love to see a third fight, a trilogy between both men? Why not? It's just like Manny Pacquiao and Marquez, Mickey Ward and Arturo Gatti. These are the type of fights that you love to see because you know that their styles mesh together very well, and they're always going to bring an entertaining fight. And I believe Triple G will come in better in this fight against Canelo Alvarez, but I believe that the outcome will lie with Canelo Alvarez winning that fight because I believe Triple G is at the end of his career. And this fight right here, you could blame it on the trainer, Jonathan Banks. Maybe he's missing Abel Sanchez. There's a lot of reasons that you can make excuses for, but there's no excuse for the performance of Triple G. The way he's looking right now, he's looking like an old fighter that's on his way out. And the wars between Daniel Jacobs and Canelo Alvarez twice, and this fight right now between Derevyancheko are not helping him at this age to become an elite fighter once again. And I believe guys like Jermell Charlo and Demetrius Andrade are licking their chops right now for the opportunity to fight Triple G for that big money payday and to be able to beat this man at this stage right now. I didn't think so before, but now after seeing this performance, I do believe that Triple G is going to get beat against any one of the top fighters, including Canelo Alvarez. So who is he going to fight next? Can the Canelo Alvarez fight happen in 2020? For May Cinco de Mayo, that's a possibility now. If Canelo Alvarez feels that Triple G is right for the taking, that fight could definitely happen. So, we just have to wait and see how this is going to play out. The Zone is going to try to put pressure for Triple G to fight at least Demetrius Andrade next, or the Canelo Alvarez fight, which they signed both men to the network in order to make that third fight trilogy. And they're going to push hard for this fight now. Let's see if Canelo Alvarez goes for it. But that's my opinion. I believe that Triple G is a great middleweight that reigned for 8 years as world champion. He unified 3 of the title belts in that division, and he tied the middleweight division of 20 title defenses with Bernard Hopkins. But his reign is basically done to me as a fighter in the top 160-pound division. But I'd like to thank everyone for tuning in to this YouTube channel right here, J. Calderon Boxing Talk. Please hit that little red subscribe button. Put your email information in so you get all my notifications. Once I drop a new video, hit that bell icon button. Hit that like button, that share button. Drop a comment. Follow me on all social media platforms, on Twitter, on Instagram, and join the Facebook boxing group page, all under the same name, J. Calderon Boxing Talk. I'm J. Calderon, Stand Clear Entertainment. Thanks for your support. Keep watching, and please subscribe.